Next, I have three. These are not design effects, realistically, like card design, but just simply things for the game. They're, these things are long overdue, I feel like, and they should have been added to the game a long time ago. But I don't think they're too hard to add. I mean, I'm a programmer, so I know the basics of how this stuff should be done, and I don't think it should be too hard. Um, at first, I was thinking of show a Cthulhu button, but that clearly shouldn't. Like, I wanted a show Cthulhu stats button, but how would that work? It only works when you're playing Cthulhu decks, which is very specific, or and then what the button's just useless most of the time. So realistically, that's not what we need. We don't need a show Cthulhu stats button. We just need a scroll bar to the history, so that you could scroll down and see your Cthulhu. Last time you buffed your Cthulhu, which can be way down, but you can still see it. So that's all we need. We don't need actually anything to show Cthulhu buffs. We just simply need a scroll bar to the history. That's something that needed to be added a while back. Another thing, the second thing is also to the history. Milled cards need to be shown on the history. Because again, you sometimes leave your computer, you come back, you see that you had 10 cards in your hand, and now your draw got milled. And you're like, wait, that means I milled something else. And you have no idea what it was. Could have milled the monkey, could have milled anything. Which is just, which is a problem. So I think milled cards should be shown on the history. The third and last thing is for this competitive season system. This is just something really small. Like, I know the system does need improvement still, but this is something that's so small, yet it will improve the system a bit, and it's really, really, really easy to implement. So, how it works now is it's only based on your last season, is how many bonus stars you get, so that your next season you can start a bit earlier. So if you hit Legend, which is what it's capped at, you go to like 16 or something, and you just start at 16 instead of, higher up, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's something. Now, the problem is that means you have to be hitting Legend every single season for you to be getting these bonuses. And sometimes people don't play a season. Yes, also another thing, seasons are too short, but again, that's not something to, that needs a lot more discussion, but this is really easy to implement. So, all it does is, instead of just simply looking at your past season, it has two factors. So weight A is your last season, which is 50% of the weight, and weight B will be a compilation of more than just one season. So I don't think it should be all seasons, it should be like the last 3 or 4 seasons. And that will also have a 50% weight. So instead of just simply weighing it all on your last season, 100%, you make it your last season is 50% of the weight, and the 3 other seasons before that is 50% of the weight. So realistically, it's weighed on your last 4 seasons. And that is how you get your bonus stars, and it will push you forward. Now, clearly the numbers need to be adjusted, because getting Legend 4 seasons in a row would do the same as getting just Legend 1 season. So why I made this system is it rewards constant Legend players. If you're hitting Legend every single season, that means that you clearly will hit Legend this season, so it might as well push you forward a bit more. So what the number adjustment will do is, if you're hitting Legend just last season, then and the seasons before that you're ranked 12 and 13 and stuff like that, then you will get like around the same as just hitting Legend the way it does now. So you'll be at around rank 16. But if you're hitting Legend all 4 of the last seasons, it will probably push you to rank about 13 or even 12. It'll push you way further because you're hitting Legend every season, so you get more incentive to continue to climb, because the next season will be easier, as well as the rank rewards, of course, that already exist now. So that was the 3 that I think just need to be implemented to the game. So again, it was scroll bar history, show milled cards, and new season system. So that's pretty much what I think about implementing things to Hearthstone. I do have 2 cards to show. I paired a lot of cards actually, but I'm only going to show 2 of them. Okay, I'm just going to mention this one before, which for a while it's been really, really hard to implement a 1 mana neutral card, because whatever you implement is going to be pretty much broken at this point. because you're not going to implement anything too weak, like most 1 manas are, 1/1/2 and stuff like that in the game. And then when you implement stuff like Zombie Chow, it just pretty much becomes the best 1-drop in the game. You implement anything like something as simple as even like Possessed Villager becomes just a really good 1-drop. 1-drops are really, really, really hard to balance. That's their problem. So, I was trying to think of a good way to make a 1-drop that doesn't just break the game. And I don't know if this is it, but like clearly it would have to be tested and stuff, but I think it's pretty close to what it would be. It's a 1-mana 3/3. So automatically it sounds like the most broken thing in the world, because a 1-mana 3/3 is just way too strong. But its effect reads, your opponent's first minion played each turn costs 1 less. And that effect makes it really underwhelming at the same time. So 1-mana 3/3 is really powerful, but that means that they can play a 2-drop to beat it. They can play a 2-drop to beat the 1-drop, or contested it. And then it sticks or something because you used power overwhelming on some small minion trade, whatever. They can now play a 3-drop on turn 2, and so forth. So its effect is a big downfall, but its stats are really strong. It's a 1/3/3. So that's something that for a while I was considering how to make a 1-mana minion, but I think this is something close to this is the best way to approach it if you want its stats to be strong. Zombie Chow is probably the best design card in the game. So that's where this came from. The inspiration for this card. Anyway, so the 2 cards I created, the first one is called Moonconform, and I'll show it here. So Moonconform is a 5-mana epic druid spell, and it reads, gain 5 armor. Your hero power becomes add 2 Moonfires to your hand. Now, at first look, you look at this and it might seem a bit strong, but the more you think about it, the more you realize it's really not that strong, because gain 5 armor is worth about 2 mana, and then the 3 mana left over is kind of similar to Shadow Form, which is unplayable right now, but this is better than Shadow Form, because adding 2 Moonfires to your hand is better than just deal 2 damage, because worst case scenario it's deal 2 damage, or you can split it up into deal 1, or with spell power clearly becomes better, and it makes Yogg better, and it works with Auctioneer. But the downfall, it does nothing on your turn 5. So if you're against aggro, and especially as Druid, which is not the best class at coming back when they're behind on board. But like that last part, the whole just because it's on Druid thing, isn't the reason why I made this card. Like the bounce parts of Druid is always something that I think needed to be implemented into Hearthstone. There's spells here and there, but I feel like Balanced Druid is a big part of Druid, and it should be a big part of Hearthstone. But the gain 5 armor is obvious because, Moonconform does make you tankier, and Druid, it works really well with it. At 5 mana, it's that at that optimal spot where Druid wants to be playing minions. They just ramped up, and now they just want to be playing, Druid of the Claw, Drake, stuff like that, and getting to their turn 7 Ancient of War or whatever. But this realistically makes it's such an anti-tempo play that if you're against aggro, you're most likely going to lose the game because this was way, 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 way too slow. But in control matchups, this could win you the game. In control matchups, which Druid is meh at right now. Malgo's decks can just hoard all of it. That's also another thing, is you could just hoard it. You could just put a bunch of Moonfires in your hand and just hold on to them until you have like 5 or 6 of them and just Moonfire a guy down to death. Again, this is the slowest. Like, Hearthstone isn't that slow, and this is really slow. Like, you have to hero power like 3 or 4 turns in a row after your turn 5 play was doing nothing to get that. But it's an option. I don't know if this card would even see competitive play, but it's really interesting, and it adds a whole new dynamic to Hearthstone, which is why I think it's a pretty cool card. The second card I want to guys show you is, okay, the art. Couldn't find good art, so ignore the art and ignore the name. I don't like the name, I don't like the art, but the idea of the card is really good. So for a long time, they've had trouble balancing 2 things. Spells that just say deal X damage, stuff like Power Blast and Fireball. And the second thing is charged minions, because they just go right away to your face. You can't interact with those two things. Like I said, your opponent can't do anything on your turn, so the minute you play these spells or play these charge minions and go face for like 25 damage, it's not a fun way to play Hearthstone. And they have been nerfing them over and over and over, but people keep finding their ways to come back and do these burst combos. So this is something that doesn't exist in Hearthstone, Charge Death Rattle. So Charge Death Rattle is a very interesting mechanic, because charge, I love the idea of charge, because pretty much it's kind of like a spell, right? It's like a deal 3 damage spell at this point. You pretty much, unless they have taunt up, you can take it wherever you want. You can go face with it, you can go trade minions into it. But the Death Rattle incentivizes trading with charge minions. You have a charge minion you want to trade. It's a really interesting mechanic, which is something I think they need to have more of in Hearthstone. Charge Death Rattle. And this like I said, like Moonkin Form fits the lore clearly. I don't think I even need to go into that. But this, it tells a story. It's it's a gallant knight, and charge. So he runs into battle, all heroic and stuff. And the Death Rattle is he gets dismounted. Summon a 3/3 dismounted knight, and then he's just standing. The picture would be a knight standing there. So I couldn't really find a good picture, so I just put that up. But the 3/3 would be him just standing, no horse. And when you look at the stats, you look at the numbers, it seems pretty balanced. Nothing's broken about this card. But yet it can see play. Like, it's not the worst 5-drop. 5 mana, deal 3, and then summoning a 3/3. It's not the worst. You can even go face, tell the truth. You can just hit face for 3 and just let them trigger the Death Rattle, and then especially against something that doesn't have a ping, like against a priest or something, you can just go face, and they can't really punish you. The best thing to deal with this would be maybe an Entomb, but like it's a really nice card. You can do anything with it, but it doesn't have enough attack to pretty much do the whole burst combo. So I know they're trying to stay away from charge minions, or when they did introduce a charge minion, Ice Howl, it said can't go face, which is just straight up like a trade board only. But I think this is a new approach, without just directly straight up restricting the card. I don't mind that, the whole can't go face, but it's restricting the card to one playstyle, which is something I don't like. But here it doesn't. At 3 attack, it's just not enough to do anything with it, right? It's the same as a Wolf Rider, realistically. But then you pay 2 extra mana for the Death Rattle, which seems pretty good. So that's why I think it's pretty fairly balanced at 5 mana. It's a nice card. Pretty much, you do whatever you want with it, and it clearly doesn't fit in every deck. The same way Moonkin Form doesn't fit in every Druid deck. But yes. So yeah, I talked about the card design, and I showed you guys some cards. I talked about simple systems that I'd like to see implemented into Hearthstone. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Thank you all.